Honorable Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Sri Nitin Gadkari ji, present with us, respected Professor Dr. Sukumar Misra, respected R&D Naresh Bhatnagar ji on the dais, my friend, convener of today's program, Sri Yogendra Singh ji, Dr. Dinabandhu Sahu ji, Dr. Rama ji, Honorable Principal of Ansar College, Dr. Suman from Sarda University, all my esteemed panelists representing their respective industry institution, and of course the good soul in your vision and virtue to be part of this conclave, I welcome you all. I salute and bow down before your commitment and wisdom to contribute in whatever way to the cause and concern we all have been associated with this Green Urja Conclave. My volunteers, my organizing team, supporters, audience, the friends who have been a pillar of strength to see that we rise beyond myths and bounds. I accord my thanks and appreciation for you all owning, patronizing, and giving wings to CRESPAI and all its earnest endeavors. Honorable Minister, all my gratitude to you for gracing us and inspiring us in our endeavor to spread awareness through a participative approach involving various communities at the local level towards climate mitigation measures in this occasion of the Global Environment Day. You have been a source of inspiration in your thoughtful action. Known for your charismatic action, commitment, and task management, we believe our country is in safe hands when leaders of your eminence are at the helm of affairs. We are deeply obliged and we look forward to your patronage and handholdings in our journey for years to come. We all know the adverse impacts of climate change and the urgency to take immediate steps towards mitigation measures. Despite being home to the highest population in the world, nearly 17%, our contribution to global carbon emission is only 7% per annum, which is expected to increase to 10% by 2030, owing to our economic growth. Considering our historic and cultural connection with nature and environment protection, our beloved Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi at COP26 in 2021 Glasgow stated India's mitigation commitments and came forward with the Pancha Mitra, the 5 nectars for immortality in Sanskrit strategy with the following 5 points: increase non-fossil electricity generation capacity to 500 gigawatt by 2030, meet 50% of its energy requirements from renewable energy by 2030, reduce the total projected carbon emissions by 1 billion metric tons from now, presumably through 2030, reduce carbon intensity of its economy at least 45% by 2030 compared to 2005 levels, and achieve the target of net zero by 2070, gentlemen. India formalized elements of the above national statement in its updated 2020 and envisioned to achieve 50% cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel-based energy resources. Announcement from the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. India also reiterated its target to create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion metric tons of COP2 equivalent by 2030. At COP27, India released the long-term low emissions growth strategy document that reiterates all these commitments, ladies and gentlemen. India has a strong strategy, and the salient features of our long-term strategy impressively include rational utilization of national resources with due regard to energy security. The transition from fossil fuels will be undertaken in just a smooth, sustainable, and all-inclusive manner. The National Hydrogen Mission launched in 2021 aims to make India a great hydrogen hub. The rapid expansion of green hydrogen production, increasing electrolyzer manufacturing capacity in the country, and a threefold increase in nuclear capacity by 2032 are some of the other milestones that are envisioned alongside all development of the power sector. Increased use of biofuels, especially ethanol blending in petrol, the drive to increase electric vehicle penetration, and the increased use of green hydrogen fuel are expected to drive the low carbon development of the transport sector. India inspired to maximize the use of electric vehicles, ethanol blending to reach 20% by 2025, and a strong model shift to public transport for passengers and freight. While urbanization will continue as a strong trend from our current relatively low base, future sustainable and climate resilient urban development will be driven by smart city initiatives, integrated planning of cities for mainstreaming adaptation and enhancing energy and resource efficiency, effective green building codes, and rapid developments in innovative solid and liquid waste management. India's industrial sector will continue a strong growth path in the perspective of Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India. Low carbon development transition in the sector should not impact energy security, energy access, and employment. My friends, the focus will be on improving energy efficiency through the Perform, Achieve, and Trade PAT scheme, National Hydrogen Mission, high level of electrification in all relevant processes and activities, enhancing material efficiency and recycling, leading to expansion of the circular economy, and exploring options for hard-to-abate sectors such as the steel, cement, aluminium, and others. Friends, India has a strong record of enhancing forest and tree cover in the last 3 decades. Alongside high economic growth, India's forest fire incidence is well below global levels, while its forest and tree cover is a net sink, absorbing 15% of the CO2 emissions in 2016. India is on track to fulfilling its NDC commitment of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of additional carbon sequestration in forest and tree cover by 2030. The vision of lifestyle for the environment calls for a worldwide paradigm shift from mindless and destructive consumptions to mindful and deliberate utilization. Ladies and gentlemen, various reports suggest that India is well on its way to meeting the target of a 45% reduction from 2005 levels. Estimates do suggest that our emission intensity in 2022 was already 34% lower than what it was in 2005. If India's GHG emission increased at the 3% per annum rate, as projected in the standard policy scenario, and the latest WEO, and GDP growth in the 2020s continue at 8% per annum in PPP terms as projected by the International Monetary Fund, India will achieve the 45% reduction in emissions intensity before 2025. Additions to renewable generation capacity have been significant in the past 6 years, with non-fossil fuels accounting for 172 gigawatt of installed electricity generation capacity in India. As reported, the under implementation project capacity adds up to more than 300 gigawatt. MNRE's effort to bid out 50 gigawatt capacity every year till 2028 clearly shows that we are heading in the right direction to achieve this targeted capacity of 500 gigawatt by 2030. While the initiative seems to be satisfactory, there will be implementation challenges in terms of availability of finance, access to technology, availability of land, handling logistics issues, etc. To mobilize private and institutional finance, which is a must considering the requirement trillions of dollars by 2050 for the above purposes, a clear and stable policy and regulatory framework would be necessary. It would be imperative to have policies and regulations at the state level which has to be aligned to the central policies and regulations. The possibility of a single window clearance and facilitation for all climate-related projects is the need of the hour. Access to low-cost financing must be facilitated for climate-related projects. The initiatives of Government of India in this regard are truly commendable, and I am sure through a conducive policy regime and mass public participation in India will establish itself as a leader in this sphere. Bharat banega Vishwaguru. Let's all pray. It starts with the green energy sector, my dear friends. Our government has already been able to see the light of the day in running hydrogen-run motor vehicles. Our chief guest, Mr. Minister, is known for his commitment and task managing whatever His Excellency does. With his very special interest and ambitions, the day is not far when we'll all see all vehicles plying on the road are running on water. We have mission-oriented actions to see our natural resources are treasured, preserved, and responsibly utilized. Our Prime Minister's clarion call of one sun, one world, and one grid has already ignited the global consensus for sustainable development and action against global warming and climate change. Team Green Urja wants our policymakers to bring more sustainable and green measures in reducing the use of fossil fuels and carbon footprints. Few measures that cost nothing could be. We had a recent visit to study how America does better, and I'll remind all of you, my friends present here, if America can have a family lane or a carpool lane, why can't we have a small measure to incentivize such users, the multiple passengers on a car or a family car or a pooling car, to go toll-free? We have the right person in the forum. Let's give a proposal to Mr. Minister. At least small initiatives of this kind can be initiated at his end. Let me propose also to the Minister to extend a token appreciation for free toll for this kind of cars plying on the highway. Sir, it could cost little to your ministry, but show the right character and wisdom, and this will have huge ramifications in saving fuel, even reducing traffic congestion. I'm sure your august ministry will not be poor by promoting carpooling to decarbonize the planet by waiving or giving concession on toll charges. It is time to set the tone and bring affirmative change from top to bottom in public and government offices. If all public offices are to be given a target for their electricity consumption and control, time to access the energy requirement and penalize the head of an institution for excessive uses or exorbitant or misuse of power. We appreciate our government's efforts under the usual Yojana. Time to look at the providing of induction cooker instead of free cylinders. Even community kitchen can be provided through solar energy, induction-based cooking patterns. Last but not the least, may I also suggest and propose to all the panelists here, it's also time to call for pedaling to work at least one day in a month. Let we celebrate that. We already have a parliamentarian who is pedaling to parliament to attend his office. We also have a brilliant person in our convener, Sri Yogendra Singh, who often also sets the right standard of commuting to Noida from Gurgaon and coming back on his cycle to attend office. If that can be done, why we cannot do that? The team CRESPAI, in its quest to emerge as a knowledge and wisdom think tank, will partner with all like-minded institutions, organizations, and civic bodies to create a common platform of excellence in supporting our country's commitment to be carbon net zero by 2070. It gives me great pleasure to release the first edition of Urja today in the latter part of the proceedings today. I am excited to accord our record appreciation to today's guest, His Excellency Sri Nitin Gadkari Ji, Cabinet Minister for Road Transport and Highways, to unveil the first copy today at the latter part of the proceeding. I request Honorable Minister to support us in his patronization to sustain us, so we work tirelessly to a sustainability future of our people, our society, our country, and our planet. Jai Jagannath, Jai Hind. Thank you.